Today we're continuing with our conversation on achieving financial freedom, which we started 2 weeks ago. And last week, 2 weeks ago, we kind of laid down the foundation onto what financial freedom is and what it entails, and looked at different parameters, how people consider financial freedom, and why is it important to have that kind of conversation. And we spent a good time sort of like laying that foundation, speaking of like the theory behind financial freedom, and why is it important for us to really talk about it. And the intention is today to kind of going deeper into the practical aspects of it, as into what can we actually do to really enrich our lives in our journey to financial freedom, or just navigating life in general, not just about financial freedom. As you would remember last time, 2 weeks ago, when we talked about, I said, look, it's not about being a millionaire or not. It's not about being rich or being poor. It's not about making it or not making it. It's like a spectrum. It's everything we talk about. These are like tools. They get like things that can help you along the way. You know, it's not a solution to all your problems. It's not like when you come to this seminar, you come out of here and then all of a sudden you're going to be rich. All your financial problems are going to go. I mean, I hope they do. That would be brilliant. But that's not the point here. It's not an all or nothing game. It's just to be able to kind of look at the things that we're talking about, look at the things that you kind of think, I can incorporate that in my life. I can use that. I can add this into what I do, and kind of enrich your life in the process. So, and I think that's the key thing. And I hope as we carry on, you get these little nuggets along the way, and they'll really do you good in your journey. That's my hope anyway. But before we carry on into today's conversation, I just want to do a quick sort of like a recap of what we've been covering last 2 weeks. And so I'll kind of go really quickly through my PowerPoint presentation of the things we covered last time, and then we'll continue from the area of statistics, if I believe is where we said we're going to start from today. So I'll do that, and then we'll see where we're going. In case you don't know who we are, we're Lifetime Success Seminars. We're a program. My name is Charles Stephen. I'm the co-host of Lifetime Success Seminars alongside Stephen Muraganya, the guy that was just speaking from the car a couple of minutes ago. We run programs every fortnight on Zoom currently. We used to do them live pre-COVID. At the moment, we're doing them virtually. And our conversations are to cover all areas of personal development, so finance, business, lifestyle, family, relationships, spiritual matters, mental matters, and you name it, anything to do with personal development, we're your guys. So we raise these conversations with our communities every fortnight through presentations, discussions. Debates even. We've even had a debate a while back, book reviews. We do all sorts of things, but just to kind of raise these conversations and really try and move that, move that agenda forward. Because sometimes in life, because things that, this busyness, you can get so engulfed in life, and you don't really get that time to reflect and look at how you can develop yourself and do better and be better in whatever area of your life, whatever area that might be, around all the areas that I've mentioned, lifestyle, family, relationship, business, finance, health, fitness, anything. So that's our mission. That's what we do. We don't work in isolation. We work in collaboration. We work with the To Live Women's Group. We work with ECHA, the Alliance of Cohesion and Racial Equality. We work with lots of different people, and we also have other people that sort of come into our group as guests and do presentations, and we have discussions together. So that's who we are. That's what we do, and you're very welcome, whether you're here with us today live, or you'll be watching this as a recording. I hope you enjoy, and let's go together. So allow me to quickly go through my notes. I'll share my screen really quickly. I hope you can all see that. Right. Okay. Can you all see that? Yeah. Okay. So let me go through really quickly. So we talked about financial freedom, and we equated financial freedom to retirement, basically, because during retirement, that's the time where um, basically you're stopping active work to earn, and you're relying on your pension, basically, which pension in essence is a passive income, because it's something you've been putting away for some time, and it's been invested for you, and now it's kind of yielding returns for you, and basically you can live off it. And by then you say, I have retired. Now, the idea of financial freedom is very similar to that. Ultimately, that's what it is. But financial freedom is a lot more than that, because financial freedom can be aspects of that rather than the whole thing. So when we talk of being financially free, we're not necessarily talking about you now buggering off in the Caribbean islands or wherever that may be, to just put your feet up and do nothing for the rest of your life because you've got so much money in your bank. Yes, that is financial freedom, but that's not the point here. The point here is to kind of look at financial freedom as a fluid thing, something that you can apply at any stage of your life, whether you're very early in your journey of career and employment and making money, or whether you're towards the end near retirement and almost looking forward to your pension. So regardless of where you are in that spectrum, financial freedom can be something that can be very useful for you. It can give you lots of aspects and tools to really navigate through your finances. So it's all about taking control of your finances instead of it controlling you. That's what it is. It's about making life decisions without worrying about financial impact, because you are prepared. And I've capped the word prepared because that is a very important thing. And today, basically, we'll just be talking about preparation. All the practical aspects we're going to be talking about today, it's about preparation. And it is these preparations that actually give you that freedom. Okay, like the example I gave you last time when I gave my own testimony when we were planning our move back to the UK. It was the preparation that allowed us to have the freedom in financial terms, the financial freedom when we got here to do what we wanted to do. Because we were prepared with savings, we were prepared with emergency fund, we were prepared to be able to live off those savings for so long, enough to allow us time to do what we wanted to do and set up the base, if you like, for the things we wanted to do before life kind of caught up with us. And in a way, we kind of bought that freedom for a limited time in that case. But that's what financial freedom is all about. That you can use these tools to allow you those decisions without worrying too much about the financial impact. So we also talked about stages of financial freedom. Like I said before, it's not an all or nothing business. It's like a spectrum. So it runs from one end where it is no freedom at all. And we looked at what that means. It means that is like the starting point for most people. Basically, at this point, you don't have an investment, you don't have any savings, you have nothing. Basically, you're just relying on your income, and your income stream. It's like a hand to mouth, basically. You get something, you spend it. And unfortunately, I said, a lot of people get stuck in this position, regardless of how much they earn. They might have started from low income, and even their income might have risen tenfold, hundredfold even. Many more, as you might see some examples later, but still, they're still hand to mouth. The only difference is that their belly has just gotten bigger. So though they're getting a lot in their hand, their mouth has gotten bigger and their belly has gotten bigger, and they eat a lot more. But still, it's still that way. They still haven't created an avenue where they can do more than just spending what they earn. This is what Robert Kiyosaki calls the rat race, basically. It's like you go to work, you pay your bills, you go back to work, you pay your bills, you go back to work, and it becomes just that race. You're not coming out of it. You can't stop. The moment you stop, you're broke. And that's what the right race is, Robert. So you can't afford to come out of it, of that wheel, because you're gonna feel like, how can I afford to do this? You look at your job, you don't like your job. It's like, I don't like what I'm doing. What do I need to do? Maybe I need to go back to college and add a diploma or add a degree, but I can't afford that. I have family, I have bills to pay, I've got debts, so I need to carry on working. So it becomes almost like a trap, if you like. And that's the whole meaning of no freedom, because basically it doesn't mean that you don't earn. You do earn, but you're kind of trapped in that never-ending wheel, like the hamster on the wheel, if you like, that Kiyosaki uses as a portrayal of rat race. In this case, you're exchanging your time for regular paycheck, like I said before. Expenditures equal or exceeds income. So you're spending either the same or more than what you earn. And if that's the case, then obviously you're racking up debt, which is worse. No savings and no passive income, like I said before. Stage number 2, temporary freedom. Like the example I gave before, bought myself freedom for a couple of months. That allowed me to do a couple of things. So I was free for that time, but obviously my saving at some point was going to run out. And if it did before I had done what I wanted to do, what would have happened? I would have lost the freedom and I would have had to do what I must do to survive, if you like. So temporary freedom is what it says. It's temporary. It's bound in time. You buy that freedom for some time. Now that sounds like a slight negative connotation. It's not. It's a good thing to have temporary freedom, and you can have temporary freedoms here, there, and everywhere, and that comes with preparation. I prepared myself to move over to the UK. That brought me temporary freedom for a couple of months. I might prepare myself to go back to college, and therefore I might start saving for it right now. That will buy me temporary freedom for that time that I'll be in college. I might be preparing myself to do something else. And you understand? So temporary freedom is something that can be used here, there, and everywhere to kind of allow you to manage your finances. So in this case, expenditure must be less than income, because what you want to do, you want to be able to start saving and potentially investing. You start generating savings, obviously, because your expenditure is less than income. Investing for passive income. So you start making investments so that even when you're not actively working, money is still coming in to be able to sustain you. But in this stage, passive income is still less than expenditure. So it means that at this stage, what you're earning passively is still less than your expenditures. What does that mean? It means that over time, you're going to run out of money because what is coming in is less than what is going out if you're not working, if that makes sense. So in a way, it's temporary, because after some time you need something else to work out for you before you can continue with that financial freedom. It gives you that ability to make major life changes, like I said before, taking a sabbatical, having a baby, go traveling, change jobs, change career, return to school, you want to start a business. How many times have you heard someone say, I really want to start a business, I really want to do this, but I haven't got capital for it? Why? Because they haven't saved for it. Or they say, I really want to start this business, but then, if I start business, I'm not going to have time because I'm so busy at work. And if I cut down my hours of work to look after the business, then I'm not going to be able to make ends meet, because obviously when you start a business, you're not making money straight away. So how is that going to work? And as a result, someone fails to start a business, or they may start the business and not really invest the time to nurture that business and grow it, because they're still so busy working to make the ends meet. As a result, the business also fails. So not having that temporary freedom can really mess up a lot of things, but having it can give you a lot of freedom in a lot of ways and allow you to do a lot of changes in your life. Now, the final stage that we talked about was the permanent freedom, which, as the word suggests, it's permanent. So basically, you can stop working and your life can continue at the same level of lifestyle for the rest of your life. So in this case, you have a wide range of savings. So it's not just one saving, you have all sorts of different ways of savings, and we'll talk about savings in a minute. So we'll see what that entails. In this case, passive income equals or exceeds expenditure. So in this case, your savings will not run out. In fact, if anything, your savings can actually keep increasing if your passive income is more than your expenditure. It means that even the passive income keeps adding into your savings. That's what it means. So so when passive income equals or exceeds expenditure, then you have what you say permanent freedom. Like someone who is retired, the expenditures might be really low. They don't really need much. Maybe they had cleared their mortgage, they're mortgage free. Maybe their kids have already moved on, so it's just them. They don't have to worry about kids. Bills are to a minimum because they're on their own, and their income might not be that much. Their passive income, as their pension in that case, might not be much, but it may still be enough to cover their bills, or even more than their bills. So in that case, they have actually bought their permanent freedom. So you see, so the concept of freedom is not so much to do with having so much money. It is more to do with you not worrying about money because your bills are covered with your passive income, right? If that makes sense. So you're able to retire, maintain the same lifestyle, like I said, free to pursue your passion and be able to fund it. That's also what permanent freedom is all about. So it's not just about retiring and really sort of squeezing yourself in a hole and not doing anything because you're so broke. But it's being able to say, like, right, this is what I've always wanted to do, and I can fund this, and I can do this, and having that freedom to live life in your own terms. Like it says in I think the original flyer that I sent 2 weeks ago. It said that, you know, it's about living life in your own terms. That's what financial freedom is all about. So that's what permanent freedom buys you. And this is the stage of fulfillment. Your life is about fulfillment. You know, it's not about being busy. It's not just about making money. You have people who are making millions of dollars or pounds, and they are absolutely miserable. Now, I'm not saying that the only reason they're miserable is because they don't have financial freedom. I mean, there can be a million reasons why people can be miserable, but this can be one of them, and it can be a big one. That someone might be making a lot of money, but at the expense of their freedom. They've got themselves locked up in this lifestyle or this wheel where they have to be so busy they have to keep going almost constantly to maintain that, or because they're making so much money they've ended up racking so much debt, and as a result they're caught in a millionaire's rat race, let me call it. You're in a rat race but as a millionaire. And you don't have that full freedom, and as a result, you don't have that fulfillment. You're not really living life in terms. You just have to keep going and do things that you have to do rather than things that you want to do. So yeah, that's what permanent freedom potentially can get you. We also talked about difference of business and finance, because that's something else that people confuse a lot. We looked at that, like I said, financial freedom is not about becoming a millionaire. Anybody can achieve financial freedom, like I alluded before. It's not necessarily about increasing your income. A lot of people, when you talk about finances, they're thinking about increasing income, about making more money, but that's not what it's all about. And the conversation we're going to have today is not about making more money. Probably another time we might sit here and have a conversation about starting a business, about, you know, adding other revenues of income, making multiple streams of income and that kind of thing, which is more into the business side of things. But the conversation today is more into the finance side of things, where now that whatever it is that you've earned, you're working single job, you're earning modest income, how can you make that last forever, if you like? Because if it lasts forever, then it's brought to permanent freedom, and it can last forever, and that's the whole point of our conversation here today. It's just how to know how to do that. So it's not necessarily just about increasing your income. It's about making whatever it is your income is to last the longest, if you like. Yeah, so financial freedom is more independent on level of money management. It's more about how you manage what you have. We gave an example of Mike Tyson. This guy made a fortune during his career, 400 million to be precise. And a couple of years later, he filed for bankruptcy for 23 million in debt, which is ridiculous. Imagine what you can do with $400 million. But this guy managed to squander all that within a span of 10 years, and ended up bankrupt with a debt of 23 million. So you can see financial freedom. Was this guy financially free? Absolutely not. Was he rich? Oh yeah, he was rich. He had lots of money. But so you can see the difference. When we talk about financial freedom, we're not just talking about you making money. You can make a lot of money and still not be financially free, as we see in this example and many others. So definitions: business is how you make your money. You know, it's not necessarily entrepreneurship, but that you started a new venture. No, not necessarily. If you're employed, that's your business. You know, if you're self-employed, that's your business. You know, if you're an investor and you're living off your investments, that's your business. If you started your own business, you know, you've got your own shop selling stuff, you're a merchant, if you like, that's your business. So business is how you make your money, while finance is how you manage your money. Once you've made that money, how do you go about spending it? How do you do it? What do you save? Do you invest? How do you spend it? Do you budget? Do you do this? Do you do that? How you manage that? That's what finance is all about, and that's what we're going to focus on in our conversation. So wealth generation, this out of the way. Wealth generation isn't just about making money. It is just as much about how you treat it. Robert Kiyosaki has this famous quote. I'm sure Emeka will like this. Wealth is measured in time, not dollars. Okay, that's what Robert Kiyosaki said, and it's brilliant because it's true. The best way to measure.
Yeah, I remember that part. Yeah.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
Wealth is the best way to measure wealth is it's not how much money you have at any given time. It's how much that money will last you. You know. If you have £100 and it can last you a year, you are wealthier than a person who has £1,000 and it can only last him a month. You understand? Because somehow you can buy a year's worth of financial freedom with £100 compared to the person who can only buy a month worth of financial freedom with £1,000. You see, so true wealth is not so much to do with how much money you have, like we saw in the case of Mike Tyson, but it's how long that money would last you, and yeah. So I would say, was Mike Tyson rich? Absolutely. Was he truly wealthy? Nope, he wasn't, because though he was earning a lot, he pretty much was losing it just as quickly as he was earning it. So he wasn't wealthy. But was he rich? Absolutely. Because when you talk of being rich, when you talk of I can't find a word for it. Yeah, when you talk about being rich, you're talking about how much money you're actually making, how much you're earning. But when you're talking of wealth, it's more to do with the passive income. It's more to do with what that money is doing for you, if you like. And that's what financial freedom is all about. So yeah, so there's your question. How long can you sustain your lifestyle if you stop working? That is a rhetorical question. You don't have to actually answer it, but we kind of took time to reflect on that. And if you have an answer for that, that gives you an idea of what your level of financial freedom is at this point in time. That with your level of lifestyle, if you stop working right now, how long can you sustain that lifestyle? How long can you keep on paying your bills? How long can you keep on looking after your kids? How long can you keep on doing the things you do, basically, without actually earning? That is what financial freedom is all about. So the money game is not a sprint, but a marathon. It's not how fast, but how far you can run that matters most. Okay, so that's what we covered last time. So I'll quickly go through some statistics, and then I'll allow people to have a bit of a conversation on what we covered last time and the statistics, and then we will crack on with the practicalities today. The first one is that money problems are among the leading causes of stress in UK adults, accounting for 30% of cases, second only to work, which is 34%, according to a survey conducted by Mind, a UK mental health charity. So you can see money issues. It's something that we don't speak about often, but it's up there with causes of mental health and causes of stress. And people don't talk about it often enough, but it is a big problem. Just second to work, and work and money, they go hand in hand. The reason people go to work, the reason most people go to work is just for a paycheck, and it's okay. There is this notion about you don't work for money, this, that, and the other. I mean, sometimes you may need to just go to work because you want to earn, and it's a good thing. It's okay. It's good to work to earn, because once you earn, you can look after your family, you can do some good in this world, and that is brilliant. But money problems can cause a lot of heartache and headache and stress, and so it's important to address these issues and look at ways to kind of relieve those. And the truth of the matter is, if you can manage to buy freedom, if we can use some of these tools to kind of develop that control of our finances, it will alleviate a lot of stress. And I'm sure many of you will have a testament to that as you continue through this journey. Emeka, you raised your hand. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, in regards to that statistics,
like I said, like I told you in the beginning, I'm still reading Robert Kiyosaki's book. I'm just reading it like a novel. A lot of times I try to like cram things in the novel, but part of me keeps saying, just read to understand, read it like a novel.
Yeah.
And in regard to these statistics, correct me if I'm wrong, what I did learn is that two of the greatest things that contribute to leading causes of to the causes of money problems are fear and greed. I don't know if I'm correct, because in terms of employees working hard for a paycheck, and the more employers increase salaries, the more they increase wages and give promotions. It's more or less like a dangling a carrot in front of a donkey. It's more or less that, and the more they keep doing that, it's more or less employees are more or less chasing an illusion. Better pay, and then maybe if I get a second job, it will solve my problem short term, but not in the long term. So two of the things I have say contribute to the money problems are fear and greed. In terms of the more wages, the more salary, the more wages I get, the more I'm able to acquire things, other things, luxurious things, like a better house and many luxurious items. The fear of and in terms of the fear, if I leave this job, will I be able to get security? That's why those people stick to certain jobs in terms of better security, and again more, and in terms of more holiday pay and things like that, pension. And that was one of the key things Robert Kiyosaki pointed out between his original dad, who was educated, he saw as a poor dad, and Mike's dad, who was a rich dad. Because his dad was all about education. So if you work really hard, you get a good job. If you get a good job, if you work really hard, if you study really hard, you get a good job. But Mike's dad, who was rich, that was self-employed, was all about getting money to work for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the money problems, like I still stick. Correct me if I'm wrong. Fear and greed. In terms of greed, trying to get more in terms of more money, better promotion, and then fear, in the sense of if I leave this job, will I be able to? I'm losing an opportunity along the way in terms of better security. He gave an example of Jerry Maguire in terms of show me the money, and then Tom Cruise in the movie got fired, and he asked any of them who wants to come with me, and the whole place was silent. Nobody wanted to go with him except for one other lady that said that I'll definitely want to come with you. That unfortunately I'm getting a promotion in a few months' time. So but you see my point. Fear and greed are one of the key money problems among leading causes in the world today, apart from the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. You're quite right, Emeka. And that's why it's not a surprise that you have those two right up there, both work, like you said, and money. Because you talked a lot about employment and about that, that cow hanging in front of the donkey and analogy and all that. It's true. That's why work and money problems are out there causing stress. But you're absolutely spot on when you pointed out the issue of fear and greed, because those are kind of like seemingly opposite end of the spectrum, the fear and greed, but they both contribute just as much when it comes to our money problems in the way it really affects the way we treat money, if you like, and we'll see it a bit later how fear affects that, how greed affects that. And he talked also about investments and said again, if you're driven with fear or greed in investment, you're doomed to fail for the same reasons as well. So absolutely, I totally agree with you, Emeka. But we'll come back to that discussion later on when we start talking about investments, especially, and we might have a bit more time to probably ponder on that. Another statistic, which I find quite interesting, is that money worries was the #1 reason why married couples split up, with about 20% saying it was the biggest cause of marital strife, according to a poll of over 2,000 UK adults, a research done by Slater and Gordon. So again, up there, causing marital strife, causing breakups, causing all sorts of problems. A lot of people might not admit, but later on they would come back and say, actually, yeah, absolutely, money was the issue. We might have not talked about it, but that was definitely the issue. Someone else raised a hand. Who is it?
Yes, it's Anthony. It's Anthony.
Hey, Anthony. Yeah, good to have you, sir. Did you want to?
Yes, sir. Yes, I mean, that particular statement about money is the kind of problem that many marriages they spoil. From my own opinion, I think communication is much more important in front of that money issue. Because if we know how to communicate with ourselves in our relationship, we'll be able to manage the money problem. But if we don't have that kind of good communication between us, then definitely we will look to the money issues to be the problem, but actually it is not the money issue. I talk from the African perspective. I came from Africa. I came from a very, very, very poor society. If I'm sitting in the UK here, I see it to be something like a privilege. So whether I am living a kind of life, which is not the expectation of more people, before I pass my judgment, I'm going to think about my origin, where I came from. What am I doing? Was this my destination? Was this my society? So if I am in a relationship here, and if we both have that kind of mindset, we came from that society, and we know the reason why we are here, and we communicate that to ourselves, to our better understanding, I don't think money is going to be the major problem for the splitting of relationship. That's just what I wanted to contribute.
No, that is spot on. That is spot on. That is spot on. But it kind of takes us slightly outside the scope of our conversation, because that would take us more to the communication side of things. Which is slightly outside. We want to focus on the money thing, and based on that statistic, let me just bring it back. Basically, it says that now this is a poll, so basically it's based on the horse's mouth, if you like, what they said. But you're spot on. They might think money was the problem, but it might have been something else. Like you said, it might have been communication. But it says about 20%. They say the biggest cause of their strife, according to them, it was the money worries, and it's quite interesting that it's not it's the worries about money, concerns about money, the stresses of money that kind of ended up into those problems. All I'm trying to highlight here is to show the importance of sort of like getting the finances right, and like I said before, it is less to do with how much money you make. It is more to do with how you manage what you've already made. And in that particular case, if it's a family, if it's couples, how you collectively together manage what you've already made can be the make or break, in a sense that can create a lot of strife, or can create a lot of stress, can create a lot of problems in that sense. But I do agree with you, Anthony, 100%, that there are bigger issues when it comes to relationships than money. Absolutely. Was there someone else who wanted to say something? I thought I saw a hand. Was it Eva?
Yes. I was just gonna come in. Yeah,
sure.
I was just gonna come into Anthony's point and say, especially with Campo now, we have something called financial infidelity. So where again you agree on something or the communication is there, but then people end up doing their own thing anyway. So yes, just bring a different aspect, but I don't want us to push away from the conversation. But yes, thanks.
Absolutely. I think that conversation on financial fidelity, that is a good one. We'll probably talk a little bit about that when we talk on budgeting or spending, between budgeting and spending, because that's where problems come when it comes to how you spend the money. And two people don't quite agree, or one ends up doing it quietly without communicating with the other, and then it becomes a problem. And so we might delve more into that side of things when we get to that stage. But it's a great point to be raised. Thank you so much, Eva and Anthony. Now, the next statistic, according to the Money Charity in 2020, says 12.8 million UK households have either no or less than £1,500 in saving, £1,500 in savings. 12.8 million UK households. I think the UK, we have about 20 million households, I think, or 20 something. Yeah, so definitely about half or more than half of the UK households, they have absolutely no saving at all or very little saving, which, as we saw before, it buys you very little financial freedom. So definitely this conversation is in order. The average total unsecured debt per UK adult is about £4,000, while the average credit card debt per household is about 2.5 grand. So you can see people are racking up debts while at the same time they don't have enough savings. So you can see how the rat race develops, and the ability for them to have a freedom and ability to make changes in their lives and their lifestyle, and even make those major life changes, gets really hampered because they're kind of caught in this this rat race, this hole where they must continue doing what they're doing to keep earning so that they can just stay above ground, if you like. It would take 26 years and 8 months to pay off average credit card debt, making only minimum payment per month. This is another myth that most credit cards they keep propagating. They send you a credit card statement and they put it there very nicely, and how much you can pay as minimum each month. This is your balance. This is the minimum payment. And then in very small print right at the end, they will tell you that if you keep just doing the minimum payments, it will end up costing you blah blah blah. But very small print. But they put it right at the top that this is the minimum payment. And obviously, humans, human nature is like this. If you give someone an option to pay less, they will pay less, regardless of what else is in offer. So if you tell someone today you have an option of paying £500 or paying £10, even if they have the £500, they'll look at it and think, hang on a second, I can pay the £10. Why should I pay the £500? Because it's human nature. You want to pay as little as possible. But when it comes to credit card companies, that's how they love it, because then they can keep racking off the interest for so long. But anyway, back to the statistics. So that's another statistic. So people, you can see if one credit card can tie you down for 26 years, you can imagine if you had other debts as well and factory mortgage as well in there. You can see how you can quickly end up in a hole, if you like, if you're not careful and you don't really manage your finances well. Final few statistics. According to Finder, an online financial comparison site, 35% of UK adult population say they don't have a pension. Yeah. Now again, I find this very, 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 very worrying, because basically what this means is that basically these people will not have any way of earning in the UK, except to rely on whatever. I don't know whether, because even with state pension, you have to qualify for it, and you need to rack up enough qualifying years to get the full state pension, which is still little, but at least you get something. But if you don't have pension and the state pension, maybe you don't have enough qualifying years, it's quite worrying, because when you reach the stage of age of retirement, you might really struggle, or you might be forced to continue working even into old age because you haven't really had enough saving to keep you afloat post retirement. So it's quite a worrying statistic, and I think it's something that really needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, it's not something we talk about a lot, especially with and I'll say this head on, especially with the diasporan community. We are very much in a disadvantaged position, because most of us have come into this country, most of us in adulthood, especially for the first generation immigrants. And therefore we're kind of playing catch up, if you like. We don't have enough years of pension accumulated, so we're kind of playing catch up. We're kind of behind, and so if we don't address these issues and really ramp up people to prepare themselves, a lot of people will end up into retirement age without really enough pension. I mean, whether you're thinking of retiring in this country or thinking of retiring back home, it doesn't really matter. You go back home to retire, if you don't have a pension, you're still struggling, because the people you left there, probably if they were working, maybe they have their pension. You go there, you don't have a pension, and you didn't rack up enough pension on this end, so it becomes almost like a catch-22 for you. So I think it's something that really we need to have more conversation on, because it is really important, and just ducking our heads under the sand isn't really going to solve a problem. 43% admit they don't know how much they will need to fund their retirement. Now, I want to throw a question at you right now, and I just want you to write me an answer if you know it. Okay? How much do you think is an average? How much? I'm talking about average. I'm not talking about you personally, but on average, how much do you think you would need to fund your retirement? Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, how much money do you think, on average, someone would need to have so that they can sustain their lives post-retirement? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You understand the question? I want you to write your answer down on the chat section, then we'll go through it really quickly. If you can do that. How much do you think you will need to retire? Is it £1 million? Is it £100,000? Is it £500,000? Is it £200,000? Is it 2 million? Have you all written it down? I'm trying to access it. I can't. Let me see if I can stop sharing, see the answers. Where are they? Where are the chats?
Is difficult because it gonna depends on the lifestyle you are living already.
Tell you what. Don't worry about that too much. Just stick a number. What you think would be enough. Just stick it up there. I know it will vary so much. There are so many different factors. I do agree. I mean, there is even a factor of mortgage, whether you still have an active mortgage or not. If you're still paying for your mortgage, then that could raise it up substantially. But just stick a number there.
Are we looking per year or until you retire? After you've retired for the rest of the time that's left with you?
Yep, until you die.
Until you die. Okay. All right.
Obviously, taking into consideration the average lifespan of a UK adult, that is, which is what, 79 years now, or is it 80? I don't know.
It's about half a million, I think.
You came up with $500,000. Stick it in there, Grace, if you can.
Well, I can't access my chat, whatever.
Oh, never mind. Okay, so half a million for Grace.
Yeah.
$500,000 for Grace. Anybody else?
1.5 million.
1.5 million for Anthony.
Yeah.
Ava has gone with 75 million. My goodness, what kind of
Wow.
I mean, when people retire, you
Charles,
still have another 60 years to live. So
Charles,
if you had 60 years to live, Eva, divide 60 to 75, you end up with 1.2 million every year. Is that how much you spend every year, Eva?
Hello.
Charles.
Yes.
Yeah, I put 100 million.
You have 100 million. Wow. Just justify it for me.
I feel with the 100 million, I just feel it should be enough to sustain you. And then in regards to what Anthony said, depending on the lifestyle you live in, and then the kind of jobs you've had, high-paying jobs you've had in the past.
Oh, that is fantastic. It's so nice to say. Chombi is very modest. He just needs 40,000, and he's done. It doesn't need that. I'll tell you what. There's no right or wrong answer in this one, and that's why I just said average, because the difference can be absolutely staggering. But it's quite fascinating to see all the differences and how people would justify which one or the other. But there is no right or wrong answer. But on average, if I go back to my presentation, this is what it takes to, on average in the UK, this is what it takes on average to retire. About £250,000 to £500,000. So Grace, you were spot on there.
Wow, I'm pleased. You made my day.
On average, and the £500,000 mark is usually in case you depending on accommodation costs. As you know, here in the UK, accommodation is one of the most important, one of the most expensive.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Whether it's rent or it's mortgage. So if you're retiring with still an active mortgage, or if you're still renting, then obviously you'll be closer to the $500,000 mark than if say you have already paid off your mortgage and you don't have to pay any rent, in which case your accommodation bills is zero.
Yeah.
Well, not, it can never be zero, obviously you still have to cover.
That's around how much per month?
Sorry?
That's around how much per month?
What's that?
Yeah, that much.
Yes, the money. How much are you going to be spending per month?
I haven't done the months, but you can try and do that. To do that, you start from retirement age, which is what now? Is it 67?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like my first calculation was like I start with £3,000 per month,
Right.
and then I retire and I live again for 20 years.
20 years.
So I actually came up with 750,000, you know.
Right.
But then taking this into consideration, if you add mortgages and all those, that's why I just ran it up to 1.5 million.
I see. Yeah, but you see, you can have different calculations, but then you have to consider that if your cost to live a month is £3,000, then that would have included what you pay for your mortgage, isn't it? So
Yeah.
in a way, it's like a double whammy. And then you say that 20 years post retirement, which takes you from 67 to 87. But the average lifespan of a UK adult, I think it's is it 79 or 80? I think the average.
I didn't want to die early. I put myself into the picture.
I'm thinking about average. So you see, the parameters are different. But I love this discussion because it allows us to start thinking of things we don't usually think about.
Yeah.
We don't often think, okay, now once I've retired, how much will I need to actually
Leave.
Because at that time I'm not planning to start going to look for shifts or to start working to do this. If I'm working, it's because I'm volunteering or I do this or the other. I'm not saying that you just put your feet up and do nothing, because if you do that, you'll probably die of boredom. So yeah, but I think having this kind of conversation is really important, because then it allows us to start thinking and start planning as to how am I going to fund my retirement, which is really important. Right. Enough of statistics. Let's crack on with the practical stuff. But I thought that was quite interesting, those statistics, and I thought I would share them with you.
Again, Charles, before you continue, yeah?
Yep.
I mean, is this a question that was raised in one of the conversations? You know, how soon should you start, saving for, or rather contributing for the pension? Yeah, especially when you are perhaps just beginning to work as a young person. You know, does the issue of pension, should it be coming in at that age even?
Yeah.
It does. I think the biggest mistake people make is to start thinking of your pension when they are close to the pension age. And why am I saying it's a mistake? I'm saying it's a mistake because you've allowed your options to narrow down, if you like. If the younger you are, the more options you have. So yeah. I would say you're starting your first employment. I mean, you're 18, you've started your full-time work, or you've finished university at 20 or 22. You start your full-time work. That's the time you need to start thinking of your retirement, and you start thinking about what kind of life you want to live on retirement. How much do you think you require to have a good retirement? Because let me put it this way: if you're calculating your based on the lifestyle you want, if you calculate and find that you need £1 million to retire, or 1.5 million, let me go with Anthony's example, and you realize that the kind of lifestyle you want to have in retirement is 1.5 million, but yet you continue saving up for pension exactly the same as everybody else, or the average Joes out there in the UK, then you're fooling yourself. Why? Because the sort of government guidelines on what you need to put away for your pension is based on their analysis, the requirement, the 250,000, the £250,000 target. That's their target. that you should have at least that to be able to sustain your life on a minimum. You understand? So if your plan is to retire with £1 million and you're saving just the minimum to get the 250, I'm just saying, then you're falling yourself. So you have to think, right, now if this is my target, then I need to start saving differently, or add on top of my pension, or maximizing my allowances as per allowed by the HMRC and the taxes, and make the most of the tax reliefs and everything. There are lots of other different ways. I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't advise you exactly what to do. But what I'm talking about here is that the earlier you the better for you. So for all the youngsters out there, you started working, you started earning, start thinking of retirement, start thinking of pension. Don't think of pension as a tax. A lot of people think of pension as tax because they don't get that money. They kind of feel like, oh, someone's taking away my money. No, actually, that is you saving for your retirement. You're actually buying yourself financial freedom, if you like. I don't know whether I've answered your question, Cecily.
Yes, you have. For me, this is about financial literacy, and that's a kind of education we need to be to be having around. Yeah.
Absolutely. That is a really important point to raise there. Thank you very much.
Earlier the better.
So right now, let's go on into this section now on the road to financial freedom. Bear with me 1 second. I'm trying to make sure everything is in order. Right. Road to financial freedom. Now, like I promised, we're going to be looking at some practical aspects of financial freedom, and I hope for a really good discussion as we go along. So the first thing we'll be talking about is understanding money, and look at how we can perceive money and how we can and how that can help us in our journey to financial freedom. We'll talk about saving. We'll talk about investing, like I promised. We'll talk about spending, which is a big one. We'll talk about budgeting, which is also very important. We'll talk a little bit about debt management. And we'll also touch a little bit on insurance in general. Okay. So understanding money. So basically, we are taught that, and actually we even call it money. We call what we call money. Money is currency, isn't it? Or if you ask a lot of people to define what money is, they would say money is a medium of exchange, which is very true. But I want us, when we talk about financial literacy and when we talk about money management, you need to look at money as more than just a currency, because more often than not, if you consider money as a currency, just as a currency, then you would not really put too much value in it, in a sense that I don't know whether you've heard of this saying that money is there to be spent. If you have money, then it's there to be spent. Why are you keeping it? Almost like despising the idea of keeping money, the idea of saving money, because money is there to be spent. But that springs out from the notion that money is just currency. It's just something you use to get something else. And as a result, people's management of money is so poor, because when they have money, all they're thinking about is not what they have, but is what they're going to get with what they have. You understand? So, what kind of shoes am I going to buy with this money? What kind of car am I going to get with this money? What kind of holiday will this money buy me? They always think in terms of what they can get with the money, because they look at the money and they just think currency. But from this moment on, I'm challenging you to think of money beyond the element of currency. So I want you to start seeing money as an asset. Okay. Now, why do I want you to see money as an asset? Because to make sense of this, you have to understand what money has replaced. Okay. Money, before the money era, before we started having currency, paper money, bills, coins, that kind of thing, there was a system of barter trade that was there, where people would trade and do commerce by exchanging goods and services. So basically, I'm providing this service, and you have got these goods that I want. So I'm giving you this service, you're giving me those goods in return at a ratio that is sort of agreed in whatever community you are in, and depending on the demand, and everyone's happy. It was a very difficult, very ambiguous way of doing business, because if I've got a service that you need, but you haven't got the goods that I want, then we can't do business. You have to find a third person to kind of make that work. And it was very cumbersome and very difficult. But if you look at that, it kind of tells you what money means, if you know what I mean. Because before, when people say they were wealthy, they looked at the things they had, the goods they had, and people used to stock up on things like linen, wheat, oil, gold, and other precious stones, those kind of things, precious metals. Those are the things that people used to kind of stock up on, land, and so anything that could last a long time, and grains. You see what I mean? And those were assets. Those were things that people had, tangible things that they had, and that was wealth to them, because the more of those they had, the more they could exchange with other people to get other things, and that was the measure of their wealth. Now, because it was very difficult to do the exchange, the idea of money came along, and therefore, basically, what money has replaced, money has actually gone on to replace those assets. That right now, someone doesn't need to have as many of those kind of assets to be able to trade, if you know what I mean, because they can use money. So that's why I said money is more than just a currency of exchange. It has actually replaced the assets. Money is actually an asset in itself. And those people that have actually understood money in that sense have actually fared better when it comes to investment, when it comes to saving, because their knowledge of money, the way they treat money, their attitude towards money is very different to a person, for instance, who just thinks of money as something to be spent, and therefore money comes in, money goes out, and they don't think much of it. So I think that's the good starting point when we talk of the practicalities. We have to really challenge our thoughts in the way we think about money. Okay, so that's all I have to say on that. Let's go straight to the next one, which is savings, and then after this, I'll allow for a conversation. There is a fantastic book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. Or if you really don't have time to read the whole book, there are so many summaries and even video summaries, even animated video summaries on YouTube of this book, The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. I highly recommend. But if you read the actual book itself, it's brilliant. It's a very old book, but it's got some incredible insights on savings and investment. It's brilliant. It's one of the classics when it comes to financial freedom, and I highly recommend it. The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. But there are two quotes from that book that I would really like to share with you, and I think to me those are like the golden rules of saving. The first one goes like this: pay yourself first. Okay. Maybe let me just throw this question to the group before I say anything. What do you think that statement means? Pay yourself first. I'll invite two people to contribute on that, and then I'll carry on. What do you think that statement means? Any takers?
Yeah.
Yes, Anthony.
I think it's a capitalist mindset statement, When we are doing something, we always should think about ourselves and how is it going to benefit us before we think about the next person. And this, in my sense, it also applies to these money issues. If we are talking about the origin of money, most people who were the ideology behind the creation of money, they were people who has no assets in society. And some of those things that you name, and how they wanted to make their mark into the society to own property against those who have already have some of this wealth is to create a new form of exchange, which demolish or liquidate the barter system that we were talking about. And that's how money come about. I myself, I'm somebody that I really have problem when it comes to money issues. I don't even see the value of money, because for me, money is just a paper that a specific society have take so valuable
that our natural resources or things that should have sustained us, they are being taken away for this paper. I can burn a money and it destroy, but I cannot burn that gold. It's going to be with me. A piece of land that you are taking from me for money, it can be there forever. So I just don't understand when it comes to this value that people add on money. I work for money, but I want for money to work for me. That is the reason why I work for money. But I don't put stress for myself about without having money, honestly.
Okay, but if I throw that question back at you, but is that realistic though? When you say that money has no value, is that realistic? Because let's say right now, if you had no money at all, how are you going to sustain your life?
I am not going to sustain myself because the society that put a value on a paper. Let's think about the Deutschmark during the Second World War. The Deutschmark becomes so useless because America and this other superpower, they condemned it, that the Germans were not able to sustain themselves with their money that was so valued in that society. It was a society that devalued. We can devalue and we can add value.
Yeah.
So that is the most important thing about money.
Yeah. No.
Why?
I get that point. I'm challenging the point of saying that money has no value. I'm saying that how now that, because there are two things here. You can either you can either be what's that word? You can either be ideological in a sense that ideally this is what it should be, but the truth of the matter is the society that you described is the society that we live in. Whether you're living here in Britain, in Germany, in Tanzania, in Sierra Leone, in Senegal, it doesn't matter. The world is operating on that sphere. As imperfect as it is. That's where we are.
Of course.
Okay. So my question is that if we choose to duck our head under the sand and say, this money thing is just paper, it's not important, then how are we going to navigate through that same world?
It's difficult.
That same world.
It's really difficult. Yeah. It's really difficult because we have created a system that put high value on this money. But just think about, I am from an African developing country. The value of my money is not compared to the Western society. Why is it like that? These are some of the questions I think when I'm dealing with money, I have to ask. It's because if our money was made equal to the rest of the world, the economy will not strong. They're going to take the equal share of the economy. For this reason, a specific institution, they put high value on a specific kind of money that condemn the rest of the money. So if my own money in my country is just a paper that is not valuable compared to this other people's money, why is it like that?
I like this discussion.
Then it is this country where the raw material is coming from.
I like this discussion.
This country who has the raw material, their money is not valued. You know?
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
Can we bring down the discussion back to the personal level? Because there are so many different levels you can have this conversation, and sometimes when you combine those levels, it can be very disorienting almost, because different levels may calls for different discussion, if you like. Say if you start talking about the structures, the economic structures, which is basically what you're talking about right now, and the economic powers and how they've set the system in their favor, if you like, that's a completely different conversation. And now if you try and use that to justify how you treat money personally, that's where I have problems. You understand? So let's not try and bring these together as one conversation, because then but I do hear you. I do hear what you're saying. But the point I'm trying to make here, the reason I asked you that question about, directly you on the issue if you didn't have money, the point I was trying to raise was that whether we like the system or not, whether we agree with its foundations or not, whether we would like to see it changed or not, it is in our best interest still to have that financial literacy, to know how to play the game. Let me use that name, that word. We need to know how to play that game. If we choose to say, because I don't like this game, I don't like the rules of this game, and therefore I'm not going to play, that's not going to make you a winner. You will still lose. By technical loss that you forfeited, but you still lost anyway. So the question is, we have two choices. We either accept that because we don't like the way it came about, therefore we accept defeat, or we say, right, I don't like the rules, but I'm going to learn them, and I'm going to beat you at your game, if you like. So still, either way, the challenge is still there. But let me go back to the pay yourself first concept that I was saying. What Anthony was saying is very true, and it's very spot on. That one way of looking at the pay yourself thing, you can look at it on a capitalist point of view, that it's all about racking up more and accumulating more for yourself. But on a savings point of view, and from George S. Clayson's point of view in his book, The Richest Man in Babylon, when he's talking about paying yourself first, he's completely and utterly talking about saving. What does he mean by that? He means that when you've earned a living, when you've made money from your employment, from your work, from your business, whatever it is, and you've gotten some money, the first thing you should think about before you think about anything else is paying yourself first. Now, what does he mean by paying yourself first? He does not mean treating yourself. He doesn't mean buy yourself a good car. He doesn't mean, buy yourself more houses. That's not what it means. Basically, what he's saying is that you need to have something that you can keep for yourself. Basically, you need to save some for yourself in terms of your what's the word, of your wealth, if you like. Because back in those days when they're talking about barter trade and like I said before, when they're talking about assets, they're talking about linen and gold and oil and gemstones and this, that, and the other. You either have things that you can trade for other things and use it, or you have other things that you keep for yourself as your deposit for the future and for your personal wealth. So when he talks about pay yourself first, it's about adding to that vault, which is like your savings. And the second statement actually clarifies that really well, which says 1/10 of what you earn is yours to keep. So it's all about having the discipline to have something that you keep rather than spending it all. Because the alternative would be that everything that you earn, you spend. You understand? So what he's saying is that first thing you should think about is to pay yourself first, which means you need to save. Because if you spend it, you haven't paid yourself. Let me give you an example. So if you bought yourself a car, you've made a living and you bought yourself a car, who have you paid? The car dealership. Okay, if you said, I'll pay myself first, I'm going to treat myself with a nice meal in a restaurant. That's me paying myself first. Who do you think you've paid then? You've paid the restaurant. You understand? If you spend that money, you haven't paid yourself. You've paid someone else. If you pay your bills, you haven't paid yourself. You've paid the utility company. You understand? So when you talk about paying yourself, you're talking about saving, what you are actually keeping. That's why the second statement says 1/10 of what you earn is yours to keep. Okay, so savings is something that people need to start thinking about first. So many times make a mistake of thinking of savings last. What do I mean by that? Someone has a check and he's thinking, I need to pay that bill, I need to pay that bill, I need to do that, I need to do that, I need to do that, I need to do that. And then what do I have left? And they're trying to look from what they have left to see how much they can save. And I can guarantee you, according to Parkinson's law of money, more often than not, there will be nothing left at the end of your numbers, because usually expenditures will always grow to meet the income. So if you always wait till you've taken out all your bills and all your expenditures to see what is left so that you may decide whether you save or not, chances are you will not save at all. So according to this book, his advice, George S. Clayson, actually it's the advice of the character. What was his name again? I can't remember his name, but it was this wealthy guy who was giving advice to this young protege of his. And he said, you need to pay yourself first, and 1/10 of what you earn is yours to keep. And so the advice was, if you want to save, you need to save first. Put aside first, and then see what is left and say, right, how am I going to distribute this amongst my bills, amongst my expenditures after you have saved? Because what you've saved, that is truly yours. What you're spending on is not yours. You've actually paid someone else. Okay? So that's the concept of saving. I highly recommend this book. If you read this book, you'll see where I'm coming from, and you'll probably get more insights into savings and also investing, because he's talked about investing as well in that book. Okay, let's quickly talk about types of savings. Before when we talk about permanent freedom, we talked about having a wide range of savings, I said. So let's look at some of the few types of saving. I mean, there are so many different types of saving, and this is by no means an exhausted list, but it's just an example of some of the areas that are important to look at when you're talking about savings. The first one is target saving. Now target saving is when you're kind of saving for a big purchase. You know, you want to buy a car, so you're saying, right, okay, I'm gonna the car that I want maybe is worth £8,000, £10,000, whatever. And you say, right, okay, so I need to start saving for this. So you're putting aside money in a separate account or whatever towards that. And then when you get that enough money, you buy the car. Or you say, you know, I'm planning to go on a holiday next year, and that holiday will cost £3,000 for me and my family. So I need to raise £3,000. So from now, I'm going to start saving. In a year, if I need to do £3,000, I've got 12 months. So each month I need to save £250. So you start putting out £250 each month from now, so that come the end of the year, you may have the £3,000 to go on holiday. That is target saving. So you're saving towards a particular goal. There is an expenditure that you want to attain, and therefore you start saving for it. Unfortunately, in modern society, the concept of target saving is getting less and less importance because of the credit economy. You know, everything is on hire purchase and everything. So people think, like, why do I need to bother saving? You know, I can just go there, buy that thing on credit, and I'll pay it slowly for the next couple of years. Now, these are two different things. Hire purchase is brilliant. It's convenient. It allows for a lot of flexibility in how and what you can do and what you cannot do, but it will never replace saving. And if you ask me, still the gold standard would be, if you want something, save for it. And I'll explain to you later when we talk about debt management, and probably a little bit when we talk about spending. Why is saving the best way to go? Like, if you wanted something, if you want a new phone, save for that phone, then buy it outright. That's the best way than saying I'll get it on credit and pay little by little for the next 24 months or 36 months. I don't know how the phone contracts go these days. I stopped buying those phones many years ago. Usually I buy them outright, whatever I can afford these days. But you understand what I'm saying? But so these other options, hire purchase and all these other things, they give you flexibility, but they are not the gold standard. The gold standard would be, if you want something, save for it, get it. Because if you can't save for it, it means you don't afford it. And if you don't afford it, then there is no point in having any business to do with it. To me, that's the gold standard. But we'll talk more about that when we get to that, to debt management. Another type of saving is emergency fund saving. And the gold standard for this is if you can save for 6 months. But if you can have it for at least 3 months, that's good. What does emergency fund saving mean? Others call it, save for a rainy day. Others call it incapacitated saving. Whatever you call it, whatever you like. But basically, this is the kind of saving in case you stop earning for whatever reason, due to illness, due to whatever, you've lost your job, you've been made redundant, whatever has happened, circumstances have changed, circumstances have changed, suddenly you've had to change country, you've had to move abroad due to whatever reason, all of a sudden you stop earning. Emergency fund is what will sustain you. And the question is, how long can that sustain you for? And you maintaining the same level of lifestyle that you have. And that's what I'm saying, the gold standard is 6 months. Why? Because at least in 6 months, what you're saying is that over that time, you would have been able to look for alternatives, whether it's looking for another job or trying to look for other source of income or do this or that and the other. So emergency fund is that kind of saving is also very important to have it in your locker. I've seen your hand, Eva. Let me finish the types of saving, then I'll give you an opportunity to speak. Just 1 second. The third type of saving is saving to invest. Now, in this particular case, is where you've got your target savings sorted out, so you're saving for your targets, different targets. You've got your emergency fund set up, but now you're saving to invest. So the money you're putting away, you're not just putting it away to sit there for nothing, but the aim is that that money can start working for you. Okay, I mean the target saving. Remember, you're saving to spend it on a particular thing. The second, emergency fund, the idea is in case of trouble, you will spend it for whatever, to maintain your life, basically pay bills and everything at the time when you're not earning. Saving to invest is different. Saving to invest is where you're saving and you're putting your money away where it can actually give you interest. You're investing in other companies, you're investing in stocks and shares, you're paying your pension, paying towards your pension. That's also saving to invest, because basically you're putting your money away in a way that in a pot that will keep generating it for you, so that money works for you and produces for you passive income in one way or another, and therefore it can create that passive income for you. And there is one concept described in a book which I also highly recommend, called The Automatic Millionaire, by who has written that book, The Automatic Millionaire? I can't remember the writer. If someone remembers, you can write it on the chat. The Automatic Millionaire. But if you Google it, The Automatic Millionaire, you might find the author and find it on Amazon or elsewhere. It's a fantastic book. It basically talks about how you can actually retire a millionaire without really looking to have $1 million job, if that makes sense. With your current income and your current job, how can you sort of maximize on your investments? And he's mainly talking about things like pensions, things, the 401k, which is more of an American kind of investment pots and stuff. Talks about stocks and shares and those kind of things, things that you can actually set up and sort of save in them, and they can rack up returns so that come to your age of retirement. You can actually retire very comfortably, because you are just prudent in making the most of the tax loops and all the facilities that are out there that you can make the most of. It's a book I highly recommend.
It's David Badge, yeah? David
What?
Beach? David, the actor.
Yeah. What? David?
Badge, B-A-C-H.
Yeah, David Back. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
So I highly recommend, if you have time, look for that book, read it. It's brilliant. Now, he's described this concept called the latte effect, which basically he was saying that if you saved, now here's the latte effect, because you have a lot of people that go to work, and it's not difficult to spend £5 on your lunch, or you come out of work during lunch, you go out, you go to a Starbucks or whatever it is you like to go to, and you get yourself a latte and a muffin, and they say most places that will cost $5. He's an American guy, so it's in dollars. It says that will cost you $5 easy. And people do that five times a week, every time they go to work. And so he was doing the numbers, and he said that if you sacrifice just that and save that money, you would easily save £100 a month, because it would be £5 for 5 days, 25. That's a week. 4 weeks in a month. That's 25 times 4. That's £100. They said if you had saved that and put it in an investment portfolio, or stocks and markets or something, whatever, that would give you a return of only 8% per annum. And I'm talking that is not a savings account. By the way, that would be in more into the stocks and shares and those kind of products. And he said if you did that, and you did that throughout your working career, that is enough to make you retire a millionaire. And he had put this chart and the numbers there and everything. So it's very visual. You look at it, you kind of think like, wow, why haven't I started doing this? but just in a nutshell, saving to invest is really important. And it doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to be a millionaire to start saving. You can start little. You can start with £10 a month. You can start with £20 a month. You can start with £100. If you can start with more, the better. But you can start at any level, because it's all about creating that discipline, and then you carry on. Eva, you had something to say. You're more than welcome. Yeah.
Yes, I was just going back to the point about paying yourself first, and you were saying you need to pay yourself 10%. Now I'm looking at back when we have to do the financial analysis for people. It's yes, pay yourself something. Even if it's not the 10%, pay yourself at least 1%. But get into the idea of paying yourself, because somebody might look at their finances and are like, well, it's either I pay the gas bill or I pay myself, and then it doesn't quite make sense to not pay the gas bill. But if I was to tell you, how about if you save £5, and somebody will like, yeah, I can do that. Okay, £10. It's just working about what percentage you can, but making it a consistent thing every month. So yes, you're right, pay yourself first. It doesn't have to be the standard, and then work your way up. As you get more money, then you can make sure then you can save the 10%. Yes, thank you. That's all I wanted to. I just want people not to get like, oh, I can't do 10%, so I'm not going to save anything. Again, you brought in a good example. If you save on a coffee in the morning and put in the stocks and ISA, it's just the small steps that count. Yeah, fantastic talk. But yeah, thank you. Just wanted to chime in on that one.
Absolutely, Eva, spot on. Yeah, that's very true. It's like I said before, it's not an all or nothing game. You can be anything in between. But like I said here, it's all about creating that discipline. And the book, The Automatic Millionaire, is really good, because he's talking about automating your finances in such a way that you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to worry about your investments. You've just automated it, like what Eva was saying. You're saving away £5, £10, £20, whatever that amount, but you've automated it. It's doing itself, constantly coming out of your account. You don't even feel it, the same way you don't feel most of the bills coming out of your account. But then it's going towards building your portfolio. It's going towards building your wealth, if you like. And in the long run, it really is gonna do you a lot of good. Thank you so much, Eva, for that heads up. That is really good. Tell you what, guys, it's now 5:10. I really don't want to rush into these things, because these things are absolutely so important. And we've only talked about savings. The next one was about investing. Now, I don't want to rush into that, and then we end up talking about, kind of just rushing through just sort of all these things, but we haven't really had a discussion. So I would rather us have more of a discussion now, a little bit, for a couple of minutes, and then we call it a day, and then we'll have another session, and then we'll talk about the rest of the stuff, and try and get more out of it. I hope that's okay with everybody, isn't it? So yeah, so the floor is open. We've talked about saving, we've talked about all the other kind of stuff. So I welcome your thoughts, guys.
I'll go in again. So just on the topic of savings again, I keep saying, if you don't plan for your money, then it just goes, like literally, it just finds ways of getting spent. So as much as we talked about savings account, it's good that you put the money in a different account. So don't put it in your same current account. That's where you have your saving. I know it seems obvious, but yeah, have that separate pot, even like your bills account, your savings account, your spending account. So it's good to split the money to get it down. Emergency funds, very important. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were saying they actually have a fund of the money I can send to the people in Africa or your relatives, because sometimes you have your normal emergency fund, but then again, you should have a fund again for money that you can spend, or you can give to friends, or if there's something. So even that savings, it has also to be split up according to different needs of the savings that you need. Because then if I'm saving my £5 for coffee in my savings account, and then somebody comes and says, oh, I want £10. So I take that £10 out of my current account, or my £5. I've brought myself back to square zero. And my current account, I have to find some more money to fill up for that. So always have your normal savings and another one where you're actually taking out money from. But it's good to have those demarcations. Yeah, thanks.
That is absolutely fantastic, Eva. That is really good. I personally, I mean, between me and my wife, we have like 7 different savings accounts. And I'm talking about savings. I'm not talking about current accounts. About 7 or 8, because of that same thing. We put them all separate. So you've got this for that, you put this for that. I like the one you just said about charity. We call it a charity account. Because you want to be prepared. You remember the first keyword I said that I put it in caps, prepared. You know, financial freedom is all about preparation. You know, the more you prepare yourself, the more freedom you're buying yourself, basically. So you're absolutely spot on. You don't have to put it all in one pot, because practically that may not be easy. You can have in your same account, you know, if lots of you use online banking, if you just go on your online banking and just ask to open this, you know, savings account, you can open, most banks allow up to 5 different savings accounts you can have under your name. So you can have that. And then you can start organizing your finances in that way. And it doesn't have to be a lot of money. It can be a little here, a little there. Let me speak a little bit about the emergency fund when I said about 6 months. Now, it may look daunting. Let me go back to the example of Anthony when he was talking about his calculation of expenditure per month. Sorry, I'm picking on you, Anthony. You said £3,000. Now, let me use that same example, £3,000, for instance. 6 months of £3,000 for 6 months, that is what, 18,000, isn't it? Now, you can think, 18,000 pounds, where am I going to get 18,000 pounds to put away now? You know, this is ridiculous. But that doesn't have to happen in a year. That doesn't have to happen even in 5 years. You can start saving for your emergency fund now, aiming for it to get to your target in 10 years. You can start putting only £50 in your emergency fund right now each month. You know what I mean? So, but it slowly starts to grow. And as it grows, it buys you that freedom, because when emergency kicks in, you have some funds stashed away, and sometimes you might have to use it when emergency comes, but then you keep replenishing it because it was an automatic thing that you do every month. You put it away, and so like in my personal example is, you know, at the end of the month, you know, money goes in all directions, all the different savings. You know, a little bit goes in the emergency fund, another one goes to the charity fund, another one goes to the kids education fund, another one goes to this, and it's little money. You know, it's not a lot of money, but little here, little there, little there. Every month it goes, so it just keeps. And that's the idea of automatic financing, if you like. So things are happening and I don't have to think of it. I just set it up once and it just keeps going. There are times I accept, there are times you have to make adjustments, there are times things are tough and you kind of think, I need to sacrifice something. And there are things that you do sacrifice, but the whole point here is to create that discipline by doing things constantly and consistently all the time. Any other contribution?
Yes.
A question there, Charles.
I'll invite Anthony and then I think it was Cecily you wanted to say something. So Anthony first.
Yes, but I mean, like long time ago, I listened to a videotape about a man that say financial university. You know, he talked something about if you cannot manage your economy, where the lack of is going to manage you. And that thing, it just stuck something in my mind. You know, it make it possible that most of us will find ourselves in certain situations because we are not being able to manage our economy. The same paycheck that we are living on, that is not enough for us. There are other people who are living on those paychecks, but they have a better life more than us. The reason is we spend money. We have a lot of loopholes around us that are taking our money, too much of it, and we are not paying attention. Let's talk about we Africans, how much we spend every month to Africa, to relatives. Some of these people, they are lying. They say they have a problem here and there. I'm not saying that problem. There is no way you can verify those problems. But every month, they are the first people that know when the month is over or when the month has ended for them to collect their tax. I call it their tax in me. You know, sometimes we talk about, you talk about 10%, and I saw something there. We are given to the church about 10%, but we are not even able to save that 10% for ourselves. Does God really need this money from us? That is one of the questions I keep asking myself. Does God really want me to be poor while giving these people money over their church, while the pastors, they are living with a big life? Many of us Africans, we take this into prayer that God is going to make me rich because I'm giving money. But yet we have forgotten that the money God has given you to have a better life, you are throwing it away to someone else. They are fooling you. You know, so until we know these loopholes that is pulling our money, it's gonna really be difficult for us, the African. A few days ago, I went, you know, like since I came here, I've been using a bicycle. Like I have an e-bike that I'm moving around, you know, to help myself. I went to Oxford Road. Somebody stole my bike, and this bike cost me like 1,200. The next day, I should have been walking. Somebody stole my bike because I was having a little saving. Automatically, I bought another e-bike the same day. Then I said to myself, wow, if I shouldn't have this money, one, I won't be able to go to work. My job would have given me a problem, and I don't like taking the public transport. But just like we said, sometimes if you have emergency saving, definitely it's good for the emergency. I have been paying for a computer again. This is just some of the strategies I'm trying to put in place for some of this of our education. I don't like to own a credit card. I don't own nobody credit card. I don't want it. They send it to me. I install that thing because this guy long time told me that the lack of if you cannot manage your economy, the lack of it is going to manage you. You're going to be indebted to these banks, like to this credit card company. So I have no credit debt at all. So I was paying for a computer, and every month, I mean, when I started my contract with that computer, they asked me, you can pay for so month. I say, I divide the computer payment within 2 years. And I happen to be paying like 130 pounds every year, every month rather. And I continue this thing paying within 18 months. Then I said to myself, if you can throw this money at that computer, man, why can't you throw it at yourself? Just like when you were talking about pay yourself. So I have made my plan that every month, that particular money I was given to those people for their computer, I want to start saving it. Let me see if I'm going to continue with that. It was possible for me not to become for me to not get extra cost. I keep up to the momentum to pay that money every month for 18 months. What if I was saving that money for myself? You know, so I just thought about that. You know, if somebody tax us or if we have a push factor, we can spend money on them. Or why can't we decide to save this thing for ourselves?
Absolutely, that is a great challenge, Anthony. That is absolutely fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. I think this concept of saving, and I love the way you challenge yourself. You said, I'm already paying this amount to these guys for the computer every month. So what stops me from continuing to do that once I've cleared the debts? And that becomes, that's how you start building that discipline. And you know, like I said before, these are the tools that we give each other to really challenge ourselves to try and add options into our lives. And it really does give you a lot of options, because once you have the saving, then it allows you that, like you said, like that flexibility. Like in your case, you could go out and buy a new bike. You know, and it instantly, and that saves you a lot of stress, saves you a lot of financial troubles, like you said, to do with your work and your employment. So saving is really important, and all these different tools we talked about can help you towards that. I want to point something out on the issue of charity. When you talked about giving, we will talk a lot more on that when we talk about spending. Because I believe so much in charity. I believe so much in giving. But I think one of the problems, especially with, again, the people of diaspora, is we are great givers, but we are not planned. We're not planned givers. Let me put it that way. We give haphazardly. And as a result, we end up messing our finances, and even our giving becomes very, I don't want to say fruitless, because that is not true. That won't be doing justice to all the charity that has been happening out there. But it's not effective because we hadn't actually sat down and planned what we're trying to achieve, how we're going to achieve it, and how is this going to mess up my finances or not. You understand what I mean? So eventually we end up almost like shooting ourselves in the foot in the name of helping people back home. So what I would say is, yes, let's help people back home, and let's help them a lot. But let that be part of your financial plan. Again, I'll use my personal example in this case. We like I said before, we have a charity fund, and that charity fund is set there specifically for that. I mean, the charity fund is not the money I would help my mother with, you know, or my mother-in-law with, because they have their own separate fund. There is the family fund, you know, where I can help my mother with, and this, and that is a different thing altogether. But again, it's a saving thing. But I have a charity fund where things like, you know, a relative has gotten ill back home, you need to send money to help. You know, something has happened, there's an emergency, you need to send money to help someone. Even here, you know, there's been a bereavement, a friend of yours has lost a parent, you need to contribute some money. You know, all these sort of charities that we do here, there, and everywhere. You know, if you're not planning for them, it will end up messing up your finances completely. And you might ask and say, what would I have done? You should have planned for it. And planning for it is that you set aside money for. And it's happened a few times in my case where I've set aside money each month for a certain period of time, and I haven't had areas to spend it on. And it's gotten to a point that fund is kind of gotten a little big. And I start looking around for places to give money to. And I can tell you, it feels so good. It feels so good to have resources to give, and you're actually looking for opportunities to give. Because I believe at the end of the day, that's what we're made for. We're made to give, you know, and that's why even Jesus in the Holy Scripture said that it's more blessed to give than to receive. Because when you give, and you give generously, and you give happily, without really thinking, oh, I'm struggling here, that is the best way to go. So if you can have planned giving, that would be fantastic. But we'll talk more about that when we talk about spending, probably next time when we have this conversation. But those are really important points you've raised there, Anthony. Thank you very much. I will invite one last person, and then we will call it a day. Who wants to go?
Yes, I could not find
that. Sorry, I forgot about you. I do apologize. So
that's all right. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, I love the fact that you're emphasizing on giving. Giving is one of the 5 ways to our well-being, so very, very important. Yeah, so I love the conversation. This is about financial literacy. And as you know, Charles, we have the Added Value Book Forum monthly, and we've been talking about money, so to say. All because we want to keep well. As you mentioned in the beginning, stress and anxiety as a result of money worries, you know, it's not good for our life. Now, the last session we end on that, we had a young lady who came and spoke to us about, you know, shares. And you have lightly mentioned, you know, it's one of the ways we can save to help us with our, you know, retirements and all the rest of it. But can you shed more light on shares and how, you know, how we can know the best one to go for? And I'm asking this because this really sounded so real and true, and we are getting again. A few people have asked for her again to come and explain more, because I think it's the way to go. But it's knowing which is the best.
Absolutely.
Any views on that?
Yes. I wouldn't want us to go too deep into that today, because that would come under investments, which is the next thing we'll be talking about next time when we meet. But let me put it this way: when it comes to shares, it depends on a lot of things, and that's the part where I would say you want to get professional advice on it. And not just professional advice, but you need to do a lot of research as well. Why am I saying that? Because a lot of people have made the mistake of following the crowd, as in, oh, such and such is doing this, so let me do that as well. You understand what I mean? Oh, some people are doing cryptocurrency, let me do cryptocurrency. You know, there is so much money to be made in cryptocurrency, let me do. But they do not know their own risk profile. They don't know how much they can take in terms of risk management. They do not know the risks involved, probably even their lifestyle and their money needs may not match their investments, because those two things have to go hand in hand. Because obviously when you're putting money away for investments, you have to remember that's a long-term thing, whether it's in stocks and shares, whether it's ISA, whether it's whatever it is you're doing, it's a long-term thing. And therefore you have to be able to put that away and not worry about whether it's giving you a return in the short term or not. So you have to be able to sustain your life while that is still maturing, because you're talking of 10, 20, 30, 40 years on that one. So there are lots of things you need to take into account when you're thinking of where you want to invest your money. Like I said earlier on, I cannot tell you exactly where you want to do that. Personally, I invest on S&P stocks and shares. Let me put it generally. I do indices. So when I invest in stocks, I don't invest on individual stocks. I don't go to Google and say the Google shares might be going up, so let me invest in Google, or let me invest in Tesla, or let me invest in this or that. I don't do that because as far as I'm concerned, that one, I think it's too much work. You need to really constantly keep an eye on those, and because the market is so volatile, things keep changing all the time. And to me, that's not the idea of investing. My idea of investing is when you put money away and you don't worry about it. Okay, so I would rather invest in stabler markets. So in things like indices, mutual funds, sort of like pooled funds, where though the returns are not that great, but also the volatility is also not that great. A lot of technical terminologies I'm using here, but all I'm trying to say here is it depends on what you're after, and therefore that will determine where you want to put your money, and how much time you're willing to put into your legwork, if you like. Of trying to find out what is suitable or not suitable for you, because there are people who are career investors. That's what they do. So they look at different stocks, they do this and they do that. But to me, that's not the idea of investment I'm talking about. I'm not talking about career investors here. I'm talking about people who are doing their own things. They've got their own careers. You have your own profession, you're doing your own thing, but then you're saving for investing. So you're putting your money into investments that are passive, that will do things for you while you're doing your own thing. So there are all these different things. But we'll spend more time probably next time when we talk about investment, and have more time to really talk more on these independent instruments. But at the end of it all, you need to find financial proper investment advice from someone who is qualified to actually give you that advice, but not just go with it, but also do your own research and see what really suits you and your circumstances to be able to invest. Eva had something that she wanted to say. I'll invite Eva and then we'll close after that. Eva.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah, I was just coming in on the stocks and ISAs shares and just, to say you need financial advice, but also now with ISAs, you're allowed also to invest in stocks and ISAs. And if you have online banking, you can actually go in and what they call it non-advice investment. And literally it has, so you go to the ISA section and then it has a stocks and ISAs share site. So this is like NatWest, for instance, that's what I use. And literally they'll ask you questions, which then it's what a financial advisor would ask you. So it's kind of assessing your appetite for risk. How risky do you want it to be? And they'll do the combination of the stocks, of indices, of the what Charles talked about. But then you have people who are investing your money in different pots. So in a cash pot, and to give you a projection of, if I put 50 pounds, how much am I expected to get? If I'm really risky, then I'll get more. If I'm not really taking a risky approach, then I'll get less. So that's something also that's available. People can do without actually getting like a proper advice per se. But again, and then the flexibility of that is, it's just like a normal ISA. If at some point you decide, oh, maybe I've made too much money, I don't want to continue, you can actually withdraw your money, which is really good. But again, with investments, they can go up, they can go down. But that's another thing if people want to do it without paid advice, because now the financial advisors, if you go see them, you have to pay to get advice. But with the ISA, and the ISA allowance that you have allows you to save this money and it's not going to be taxed as well. So just a different element, but thank you.
I'm tempted to bring this reader back because I think it sounds so good to go for. And the testimonials that I saw for some of the key figures that I've known over the years to be investing in that must be, a credible one. But yeah, look out for my invite, because I think there is something there that we can now benefit from, and especially when you're thinking of retirement, that long-term bit, I love it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I was in your meeting, you invited me.
Oh yes, some of you are there actually. Yes, a few people have come back and requested if we can have more information before they can make up their mind, for signing up or for buying the shares. Yeah.
That's fantastic. These are all great conversations. We'll probably pick this up on when we start talking about investing next time, because that's the next element that we'll be talking about. So we'll probably spend more time in this and look at all these different facets and what you can do going forward. But having said that, thank you so much, guys.
And also, before you say thank you, Charles, can I say, we are so privileged because, we have Grace here with us who is now enjoying the benefits of those, those savings. I mean, it's all over the world every time. So we have a real example in our midst.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Grace, did you want to say something? I can see you laughing your head off there. I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've just spent a lot of money recently and, I'm crying over it. So if I had, I just went to Ghana and spent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you had it. It's because you planned for it. So that's good.
So, we have to plan for this. Yeah, I have spent a lot of money and I'm crying. Yeah.
I'm loving this conversation. It's a very real conversation. These are the things we deal with every day. I have to admit, some of the things are not things we talk about on a daily basis, for instance, the issues of retirement and pension. But it's good to raise these conversations and have them, because they are conversations to be had. And if you get something that you think will be useful for you to use, then run with it and make use of it. Like I said at the beginning, it's not an all or nothing thing. It's not about becoming a millionaire. It's not about making more money even. It's about taking control of your finances.
Yeah.
It's about buying your own freedom, whether it be temporary or permanent. But using these tools to really make a respite for yourself, make it easier for yourself, create a wiggle room, if you like, and that freedom to do different things in your life because you've prepared yourself. Be able to go to Ghana without worrying too much. Things, lots of other things that we've shared. So having said that, thank you so much, guys. I've taken so much
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you for bearing with me, but I hope we had a really useful conversation this day.
Yeah.
We'll meet again in 2 weeks' time and hope to see you there. Until then,